The biggest straw man argument for the existence against magic is, if magic is real, why haven't you won the lottery? Why haven't you cast to win the lottery? And so today I want to go into a little bit about what magic can do and what magic can't do. So, I am Dave the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. If you enjoy what I do here and you want to support the channel, link in the description of the Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to Patreon exclusive content. Hope to see you all there, and if you are already supporting me on Patreon, you have my thanks for your continued and ongoing support. When it comes to doing magic, there are some fundamental rules, and the first rule is the more experienced you are and proficient you are with magic, the more you are going to be able to do without frying yourself. More on that in a bit. When it comes to magic, there's a kind of a metaphor that we like to use of magic is working out your spiritual muscles. You are building up your spiritual muscles so you can lift more. And by lift more, I mean exert your will, presumably to manifest you money, power, or love. Whatever your desire may be. Now, another problem of that is that, yes, you can manifest whatever you desire. However, if you are not the kind of person who is going to be receptive to that kind of thing, you are going to lose it fairly quickly. It's going to come into your life, and like the tides, it's going to go out. This is how it is going to work, and this is unfortunately just the nature of how magic works. Yes, we can manifest things. No, that doesn't mean we're ready for them. If we manifested $1 million, well, we might get $1 million, but we would probably lose it fairly quickly because we don't know how to manage $1 million. And without stair-stepping ourselves up to managing $1 million, well, we're not going to really be able to maintain that source of income, let alone keep it at all, because the terminology there was specifically manifest $1 million. So theoretically, you could be manifesting $1 million over the course of 10 years. This leads to another rule about magic. You need to be precise in your phrasing. Most people who do magic do not actually practice precise speech, especially when they are doing magic. This is just a natural byproduct of our very lax and imprecise modern-day culture. Now, when you are doing magic, you need to learn how to actually do proper magic. You need to learn how to phrase things in the way that you want. This is usually done via a trick of, you would go through and you would do magic by removing all negative terms. Now, this is something that I've heard, but it's kind of a bit of a misnomer. This is actually practice to get you to specify what you do want instead of what you don't want. Because if you can't explain to somebody in simple terms what you are looking for and what you want, then you can't cast magic for it, okay? Magic, especially Western ceremonial magic, which is what we talk about here on the channel, has a lot to do with actually using grammar and speaking, and very, very, very important that you are able to communicate in proper terms what your goal is. Magic is the act of exerting your will to cause change. This is the most important thing that Aleister Crowley ever wrote on the subject. And when we are exerting magic, when we are practicing magic, we are changing the world in accordance with our will. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Specifically, he is referring to the form of love known as agape, which is the divine love, the love of all things, and the love all things have for each other. It's a very high-minded concept that not a lot of people in the modern day kind of understand. Even Thelemites don't seem to understand it half the time, and they're the ones who are supposed to be practicing based on the teachings of Crowley. Just ask them. If you ask 2 different Thelemites, you'll get 5 different ideas on what the term means. Half of them regurgitated from dead authors. But Crowley's notes on the will are actually incredibly important for us as occultists to understand what is going on when we are practicing magic. The will corresponds to the element of fire, and as such, we need our inner fire to burn brighter so that we can shine on the world and thereby change the world by lighting it up in the way that we want it to be, and cast shadows on what we don't. This is invocation and banishing in a very, very roundabout way. This actually, in a very strange way, explains why people don't just win the lottery using magic, because, yes, your individual flame might be as bright as the sun, but if you have a bunch of other people going around and also shining their light on a task, then that light is also going to be shining for everyone. This gets into another rule of magic, and this is one of the most annoying rules of magic. When you are dealing with things that involve other people, if the people are not willing to go along with what you are doing, it becomes a contest of wills. So when you are trying to win the lottery, it is not that magic doesn't work because you can't win the lottery. No, unfortunately, when you can't win the lottery using magic, it is because you are in a contest of will with every single person who you are against in winning the lottery. So if you are in a small town or you are in a small state and you are playing the lottery, you have a better chance of using magic in order to actually win the lottery in that state. However, magic will continue to operate under a contest of wills model. This is why when you cast to win the lottery, well, when you're buying a lottery ticket, you are ritualizing trying to win the lottery. So, that is already everyone else's de facto doing magic to win the lottery too, right? And after a certain point, it becomes where luck and fate start to come into the picture, and everything is decided by fate. Now, if you did magic, it will slightly boost the odds, potentially. Depending on how it works, you are trying to manipulate luck and fate into blessing you more than they bless the other people. However, at the end of the day, magic is still going to affect everyone differently. And as such, this is where we get the contest of wills coming in. So let's answer the thesis statement. What can magic do? Magic can do anything that is possible. It is capable of doing anything that is fundamentally possible. It is able to make new things fundamentally possible as long as they do not interfere with the physical laws of reality. There are physical laws that are impossible to break. And even then, it is capable of manifesting an ability to make those things happen. If I want to walk through a wall, well, I can't exactly walk through a wall without breaking it down, now can I? But if I put on a VR headset that has a full 3D rendering of my house and no clip through the wall, technically, I am going through the wall. This manifesting of new technologies in order to be able to do things is something that magic is very, very good at. However, in the past, it usually would manifest in the form of physical technologies. Now, in the modern day, we can still manifest those new technologies. We just have kind of forgotten how to do it, so to speak. And so, in order to do that, we need to backpedal and learn from the past. The most notable case of somebody manifesting things through the occult in this manner is Jack Parsons, who manifested what is the prototype of NASA and effectively the pioneer behind rocket science. Now, as for things that magic cannot do, Magic cannot prevent anything permanently because after you die, the magic stops working. Though, it can manifest things if you have made a very big deal with very particular powers. In that case, the deal will be in perpetuity until something changes the deal. For example, this is where John Dee, depending on the story you believe, made a deal with the spirits of the Enochian tablets in order to make it so that England would always be on top. However, the spirits that he made the deal with were not the spirits of the actual physical location, they were the spirits of the culture. Therefore, they started with the British Empire. The British Empire was massive for however long it lasted, and then we had the American Empire, which is still going on and will continue basically until the heat death of the universe, it seems. Or until we end up taking over and starting like Starfleet or something. Who knows how that all is going to go? It doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon that we're getting world peace. But, to answer the question, why can't you just magic the entire lottery? Well, here's a question. Can you lift 600 pounds? Because that's the equivalent of what you're asking me to do with magic. So, I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video and you want to support the channel, link in the description once again to the Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to Patreon exclusive videos, early access to the regular videos that go out here on the YouTube, and the Occultic Manual series that is more instructional than what I have here on the channel, but less unapproachable than some of the old grimoires I like to talk about on the channel. If any of that sounds of interest to you, link in the description to the Patreon below, and if you're already supporting me on Patreon, once again, you have my thanks for continuing to keep the channel running. And, as always, if you're not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy. Take care.